I'm wearing. It's called the Sorbet sweater. It's my Musselburgh hat, lonely leftovers vest. Hello, welcome to the Sastre Knitting podcast where I show you all the clothes and things that I've been making. My name's Clarissa and I'm an aspiring clothes maker from Glasgow, Scotland. I don't have much time to film today, so I'm just going to dive straight in to my finished objects. I have one finished object to share with you today, and it is this beautiful sweater that I'm wearing. It's called the Sorbet sweater. The pattern was made by Veronica Lindberg, or Kutobakika. As many of you would already know, she's one of my most favorite knitwear designers. I really love her style. I've talked a lot about the yarn in the last episode, so I'm going to leave that there. But just to say that this is definitely next to skin comfortable. It is not at all itchy. Normally, like this, I think this is the first yarn that I've worked with that I have not felt any sort of scratchy feeling, especially here around my neck. It's really good yarn. I have some reservations about using it because of the issues I've had with tension, but apart from that, if I wanted to make another next to skin sort of sweatshirty type of jumper that I could use indoors, this type of yarn would definitely be a really good candidate. I also love that I left it to 3/4. I'm happy that I didn't decide to make it longer. So one of the things that I thought that made it so convenient to be wearing something like this is that I am warm and I can wash the dishes without having to roll up my sleeves, without worrying that the sleeves are going to get wet, or without the icky feeling of wet sleeves after washing dishes. That's such a first world problem, probably. I think the pattern is really beautiful. It's really well written. And I think I've said this before, but if you've never used a chart, then this is a good place to start because the chart is just this front and the sleeves. And it was really, really easy and intuitive to follow. So one thing I changed in this pattern is the needle size. I don't remember anymore what needles I use, but I'm pretty sure it was like one size larger than that recommended in the pattern because that's how I got gauged. But then what she recommended as well was for the ribbing, for the collar and the sleeves and the body, she recommended to use one needle size smaller. But then, so that's what I did for the collar. But when I got to the body and actually at the sleeves, I noticed that it wasn't really looking as nice or as neat as I wanted it to. Maybe either because my needle size is just too large, or should I have held the yarn double? No, but I got gauged. In other words, I don't know why it just didn't look very neat. So I decided to size down another size. So if I use size, I really don't remember, 7 millimeters for knitting the body. The ribbing section I used 5 millimeters. Don't quote me. But now I wish I had done that in the collar. It's not terrible. It doesn't look bad, but I feel like my ribbed stitches would look a lot neater if I used a smaller sized needle, or if the ribbed stitch, is that right, was still smaller than the normal stockinette here. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, I'm not unhappy about it. I just think that it's not very clear. I just think that the smaller rib is, I don't know, neater, nicer to look at. So one of the main problems as well that I've had with this project is that I've knit a size too big. But I don't know, I haven't quite figured out the appropriate ease for my body shape and size. I always feel like I need to size up. I want more and more ease because I feel like it's what would be comfortable. But sometimes it's just not the right amount of ease for a specific project. And I still haven't really figured it out. yet. I'm clearly knitting oversized for my size. Like if I wanted to knit an oversized jumper, I should probably have a lesser amount of ease as maybe the designer suggests, especially if the designer is probably a size or two smaller than me. Because I think like oversized clothes look really good on really slim people, and I am not slim. But that's not to say that I can't wear oversized clothes and be comfortable. I can wear oversized clothes. It's just not as oversized, or the ease is just not as much as if I were slimmer. Whatever. Anyway, so I was thinking about what to do, if I should do anything at all. It's fine and it's comfortable. I can wear it at home and it looks nice on whenever I'm in meetings, but it's fine. A friend suggested that I could cut it up and sew it together in the same way that you or I would if I'm altering any other fabric. I keep forgetting that knitting is creating fabric, and so I don't really think of it's such a weird thing to say, but it never really occurs to me to think about something that I've knitted as something that I can cut and sew together. First of all, it's terrifying to do because it might unravel everything. But equally, it is fabric. Like any other fabric, you could just do that. Except there are no seams on the side. Anyway, that was just a useful thought and idea. Another thing about this pattern is that the short row shaping must not be as pronounced as the other jumpers that I've knit, because I can't tell what the front and back of this is. Because I'm sure I did some short row shaping, but when I lift this jumper up and I try to figure out, well, which is front and back, I can't tell. So it's only after I've worn the jumper and worn it for a while that it kind of falls into place, and I'll see that actually the back has a wider opening. So I wore it front to back, but it's not a big deal. It's still great. I really like this jumper. I really like the yarn. The process was a little difficult in the beginning, but once I got into figuring out the appropriate way to hold the yarn, it was fine in the end. And look, I mean, I suppose you can see that the tension isn't particularly even, but I don't really mind it. I think it's really cute. All right, so I shall now move on to my works in progress. This first one I've shown last week is my Musselburgh hat. The pattern is by Sorbet. The thing about meeting knitting or like projects that is stockinette and the round, there's really not much exciting progress to show other than now it's a little bit longer than the last time. It's been such an easy thing to knit, not just in meetings, but even in car and train rides. So I normally have really bad motion sickness. It feels like it's gotten worse over the years, but if I'm not feeling particularly sick, this is actually a really good thing to have on long journeys. I enjoyed my train rides with with an audiobook on and just kind of knitting away on this hat. It's really good. It is stockinette in the round. I don't really know what else to say about this other than here she is. Just a few more inches, and the color is still beautiful. I thought that I might have to, what's it called, helical knitting, in case the color is kind of pooled in a wonky kind of way or in a not attractive way, but I think the color looks fine. I don't think I have any pooling issues, and yeah, I'm really happy about this. Oh, something to note about the pattern. Isolde Teague recently sent an update on it, and she says it now has clearer instructions and tips on making your own unique hat. I haven't actually looked at it, but it's there in case anyone is interested. The yarn that I used is Tumeke hand-dyed yarn with Bridgerton-inspired colors. The colorway is called Queen Charlotte. Last week, I wasn't sure whether Tumeke yarn is back in business, but she recently posted on her Instagram that she's back-ish. So she's probably not going to open her Etsy shop, but she will. She says to look out for Beanie Boat's floating yarn shop, or send her a message as she's open to dyeing yarn to order. I'm using 3mm needles and my gauge is 8 stitches per inch. Something that I realized while working on this project is that I don't actually mind knitting with superwash yarn, even on these tiny needles. But I think it's because it's not socks. The circumference is a lot larger than socks. Maybe it's just socks that I have a problem with, or because I use needles that are not wooden. Yeah, I use the Chow the one with the red cord. They're metal. And so I feel like the stitches slip off of the needles a lot easier. And that's just a lot more annoying with superwash yarn because superwash yarn is a lot slippier. Does that mean I should be knitting socks with bamboo needles? But then I struggled because I think I broke like two bamboo needles because they're really quite thin. To knit using 2.75 or 2.5 or even 2.25mm bamboo needles is a little, they're just not as sturdy as metal ones because it's wood. There's probably another kind of needle out there that exists that I could use, or I could just suck it up, or just not with knit superwash yarn socks. Anyway, I'm clearly overthinking. I need to stop. Let's move on. This project I'm really excited about. I cast it on after I filmed the last podcast episode, which was maybe 2.5 weeks ago. And I'm so excited. I've made so much progress on it. This is the Lonely Leftovers Vest by Ellen Berlin, or Woolen Beyond. I think she's Woolen Beyond on Instagram, and that's where she is on Ravelry as well. Let me start off with the yarn that I'm using. The yarn that I'm using is Wool and the Gang's Billie Jean yarn in dirty denim. It is 60% upcycled denim and 40% upcycled cotton. It is 135 meters per 100 grams. I have lots of balls of this yarn because I bought it early on in my knitting garments journey, and I was supposed to knit something, but then I think it was like a jumper, but then looking at it again, I don't really feel like knitting it, but I did want to use up this yarn. So I decided to search Ravelry for projects where people have used this yarn and what patterns they knit. They mostly knit Wool and the Gang patterns, which is fair because I think the only way you could get this yarn is to purchase this as a kit with the pattern. Don't quote me, I might be wrong completely. But then I didn't really want to knit a seamed garment, and I didn't really find any of them particularly interesting. While searching through Ravelry, I saw that a few people had made camisoles out of this yarn, which I thought was a good idea because it's cotton and denim. But a lot of them commented that the fabric turned out to be quite stiff or thick probably because of the denim. So I thought I should probably look for a pattern that required an open niche gauge just so that the fabric wouldn't be so stiff. A friend of mine suggested that I look for a vest, and I found this one. I thought it was super, super cute. So I decided to gauge swatch. So at first I didn't meet gauge, and actually I still don't meet gauge. So the pattern requires 14 stitches and 28 rows in garter stitch on 6mm needles. I used 7mm needles, and my gauge is still 15 stitches. I considered holding the yarn double so that I could maybe meet the gauge in the pattern, but then doing so, I thought the fabric would probably be too thick and not as drapey as I wanted it to be. And in any case, when I tried knitting a swatch with 7mm needles, this is the sort of fabric that's come out. It's really quite open. And I thought it was super cute anyway. Can you see how open and drapey and soft the fabrics turned out? I thought my swatch was really nice, so I decided, why not? Let's try it. So instead of knitting a medium, which would have been my size with a recommended ease of 5 centimeters, I think I decided to knit a larger size just in case, because I thought, well, if even if it's quite big, I kind of want to wear this not over camisoles, but over like a jumper or sweatshirt. And this is how it turns out. It's really so nice. I can't even like look at the back. How cute is that? The back panel is in a different direction. So I knit it this way horizontally and then picked up the I cord here and then knit downwards this way. It's so nice. For the I cord, I used Drops U8. It's 100% cotton and it's in the colorway number 7. It's 85 meters per 50 grams. So this yarn has been in my stash since the very beginning of my garment knitting journey. Even before I started making clothes, I think did I try to make a hat? I don't really know. I didn't really know what I was doing then. And I don't know why I bought this yarn, but it was in my box of yarn, so I thought I would try to use it. So I didn't even compare this with the I-cord yarn suggested in the pattern. I just thought, let me just roll with it because this is what I had and I didn't want to buy anything else. And the color the color was perfect. It fits the color of the denim so well. So last week I was away for work and I foolishly forgot to restock my project bag with more of this denim yarn. So I instead worked on the I-cord for the sleeves. What the pattern suggests is to cast on stitches and then knit the I-cord, cast off, and then sew it together. A friend of mine suggested that what I could have done instead was to do a provisional cast on, knit the I-cord, and then graft the two bits together, for the end and the beginning together. Either way, it doesn't really matter. So this is my one side where I've already sewed it together, and it really doesn't matter because it's like right here. No one's gonna see it. I'm not gonna see it. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I'm really so proud of my progress on this. I mean, it's only been a couple of weeks and I'm nearly done. I'm at the bottom edge. I'm about to make the curved edge at the bottom. And then after that, I think it's just the I-cord left and I'm done. So hopefully this will be finished by the next episode. So lastly, I'm going to share with you some of my knitting plans. So it's nearly spring in the UK and I think I should probably not start another winter project because it might take me into summer and it's just not comfortable. And that would mean being able to wear whatever I finish at the end of the year. And I would rather wear the things that I've made sooner rather than later. So I'm thinking about another spring, summer type of project. I was looking through some of the projects that I needed to finish. It sounds like I have loads, but I actually only have this one. And maybe a blanket that I'm wanting to frog. But this is the Provence top. I guess I'll show you the back. This is the back of the Provence top. I'll post a picture here of what it actually looks like. And I've done some of the front, the little sweet heart shape thing there. I think the top is so cute, but so this was my problem last year. I don't have enough yarn to finish. Yeah, I don't have enough yarn. So this is the Woolly Knit 100% cotton cone, I think. The color is the peach one, or it's not that, it's peach something. That's the name of the colorway. I don't know. I have tried this on. It's a little bit hard because it's knit bottom up, so it's kind of difficult to try on, but I'm not convinced that it suits me very well. I think it's because of the gauge, because it's cotton held double. The fabric isn't as flowy or as drapey as I would have hoped, I suppose. I mean, it looks nice. It looks nice enough. Maybe like my toasted tea. It's a little stiff. And I think what I would like instead is something that's more drapey for camisoles or for spring and summer tops. It's not that it's going to be too warm because I'm in Scotland and I'm happy to wear thicker garments, but I think it's because it just doesn't suit me and my style, whatever whatever that is. So I am 80% sure, 90% sure that I'm going to frog this and then make a spring and summer top that is um, fingering weight yarn, not something that's held double. I will search for one. I don't really like negative ease patterns because I'm just not comfortable with clothes really too close to my skin. Like even before I was pregnant, even before the whole oh my god, my body changed so much stage that I'm in. Like I've always liked kind of looser shirts and flowy and drapey. There's a theme in this podcast. So yeah, I think I'm going to frog this, sadly. But it's better than finishing it and looking and not wearing it. In any case, I can't finish it because I don't have enough yarn. I could use a different color or I could buy more yarn, but it's just not, I don't think it's worth it. I don't know why I'm justifying it so hard. But that is my train of thought. I hope you agree. If not, it's okay. That's my plan. I mentioned last episode that I wanted to knit a pair of socks with some rainbowy colored yarn that I have, but I'm gonna do that after I finish the Musselburgh hats. I'm thinking it feels quite good to have one big project and one little one. Gosh, that's everything. That was super short. I hope it's not too short, but I feel like this is all I can manage to film and then to edit. That's everything. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!